Kaduna, Kano, Katsina, Kebbi, Niger, as well as Sokoto, Zamfara, Kogi, and Ebonyi states may now heave a sigh of relief as security forces step up operations to arrest some suspected criminals. The police commands in these states have also reiterated their resolve to ensure law and order are maintained.
Joint security operations in Kaduna State's deadly Kamuku forest, bordering 7 states in the northwest zone of Nigeria, has led to the recovery of about 30,000 cattle, allegedly stolen by rustlers. After a joint meeting of governors of the northwest states, Katsina State Governor Aminu Masari said he was satisfied with the performance of the security forces.
I think we have made tremendous progress, and you can see now that the activities of the caste rustlers has gone down very much. So we expect that within a short time, more progress will be made.
In north-central Nigeria, these notorious criminals in Kogi State have been on the police wanted list in the last 6 months. Now they've been arrested by men of the joint security forces.
There is this notorious gang of armed robbers that often target police officers and men. They would often shoot at them and dispossess them of their firearms. We've been able to kill some of them, and one of them is in custody. And we recovered from him one of the rifles that he took from one of our slain policemen.
And in the southeast, 129-year-old Benjamin Ibiam has been arrested in Ebonyi State. He is suspected of having killed one Chijioke and buried him in a shallow grave at Ubonna Forest in the state. The State Commissioner of Police reassured law-abiding citizens that the command will leave no stone unturned to protect life and property.
It is important to stress that as the police, we will not also condone such heinous conduct within our own formation. We continue to hope that we will all remain committed to the worthy cause of protecting all lives and property within Ebonyi State.
As the police commands continue to launch anti-robbery strikes in different states, a sustained momentum in the coming days will definitely make a difference.
Some oil-producing communities in the Niger Delta are seeking the establishment of a petroleum industry tribunal to settle disputes arising from oil and gas activities in the region. The chairman of the Association of Community Leaders representing 9 oil-producing states in the region, Mr. Ishmael Oputu, canvassed the position in Abuja during a visit to the Minister of Niger Delta Affairs. The group also wants the federal government to ensure the cleanup of oil spills in the region.
To take absolute control.
Members of this group, who say they are representing the 9 oil-producing communities in the Niger Delta region, are visiting the minister to make some demands. One of the things they are requesting is the establishment of a petroleum tribunal that will address conflicts between host communities and the oil companies.
We want the federal government to set up petroleum industrial tribunal to settle all disputes arising from oil and gas activities. The oil companies, knowing that oil-producing communities do not have money to follow up the rigors of High Court to Supreme Court, even a genuine damages done could be denied due to lack of money.
The Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, while welcoming the proposal, asks that the intentions of the group should be of mutual benefit to both the communities and the oil companies.
You talk of Petroleum Industry Tribunal. Yes, I'm happy to understand this, because when you talk of violators of any system and you suggest a quick way of dispensing with the justice associated issues of it, it will mean you are helping the country to be sanitized. But when you concentrate on its essence only to address oil polluters or environmental polluters, you are not fair, because we should think that aiding and abetting sabotage in the sector should also constitute an offense.
On the issues of environmental pollution in the area, the minister says the impact of the government's efforts will only be effective if the problems are not complicated by vandals.
It is easy to commit them to the cleanup if we do not complicate the situation by having pipelines blown up, because in the mix of all this, each oil company will feign innocence.
Meanwhile, some of those in attendance also say the recent acts of vandalism are in fact political.
And if the needs are met, nobody will carry a gun, nobody wants to die, nobody wants to kill. So that is the situation. But right now, it has gone out of the place of kidnapping, killing. Whatever is happening now is political.
The establishment of the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs is one step amongst many that the federal government has taken to help address the problems of the region.
That's all from Abuja. Back to you, Gimba.
Brilliant. Linda Akigbe from our Abuja studio. Let's shift our focus now to business news with Melinda Akinlami.
You first. First Bank.
Welcome to Business News. The World Bank has offered to lend Nigeria $2.5 billion to carry out long-term projects. This was revealed by the Minister of Finance, Mrs. Kemi Adeosun, in an interview with Channels Television. According to her, the loan is expected to be given at a concessional rate.
The majority of our obligations at the moment are Naira. And we don't want to do too much Naira for the simple reason we don't want to crowd out the private sector. Because if government's competing with the private sector, and even if we put the infrastructure in place, rates would be too high for businesses. So we're very, very conscious of the need to balance that. So let government borrow the barest minimum in the domestic market and move to the international market. In the international market, what we've done is we're looking at the lowest cost loans, which of course are for the multilateral agencies. So we've spoken to the World Bank. They've offered to give us $2.5 billion concessional rates. Same with ADB, $1 billion concessional rate. So it's only about $1 billion that will be at commercial rate. So by the time you blend our average rate of interest, it's going to be fairly low.
Minister of Finance, Kemi Adeosun. The management of Lagos Deep Offshore Logistics Base has said that the review of its expatriate quota will be done gradually. The plan was discussed at the Offshore West Africa Conference in Lagos. At the meeting, Ladol's executive explains why the onshore support base is retaining the current foreign participation status.
The Offshore West Africa Conference and Exhibition is a platform for dialogues on energy sector-related issues with an aim to growing the industry competitively. Onshore support base, Ladol, leveraged on this opportunity to explain some of its operational grey areas. The Business Development Director, Mr. Jide Jadesimi, reels out how local content regulations have earned the company its success stories.
In the joint venture, in our own case, that we formed with Samsung Heavy Industry, that was the principal reason why 4 years ago we won the tender for the construction of the fabrication and integration yard for the Agena FPSO, which we are currently undertaking.
Speaking on foreign participation in its operations, Mr. Jadesimi and the General Manager from the Nigeria Content Development and Monitoring Board, Mr. Paul Zahumben, call for caution in reviewing the quota.
Because we do local content doesn't mean zero foreign participation. We also have that skills gap to close, and we'll do that by learning from our foreign partners, and then with a view with the next project, take those lessons learned and the skills that have been acquired to reduce the numbers.
If there is a need for an expatriate, before we endorse it, you must give us a succession plan, or what you call the understudy plan, because that also scares experts. If you are coming to succeed me, their way of mentoring may reduce. So it's more of what is the plan for you to bring up the skills.
For both Mr. Jadesimi and Mr. Zahumben, Nigeria's joint venture investments are closely monitored.
In 2006, we started with an initial investment of $150 million US. Today, we've invested $450 million in our facility, and we'll continue. The pattern is set to continue going into the future.
On the targets we've agreed with them, are they following of such commitments? We'll say for now, yes, the commitments are being followed, and we are watching it. We monitor it regularly to ensure that these commitments are being kept.
As a result of the crash in crude oil price, drilling programs are challenged with funds. Ladol Integrated Logistics Enterprise expects more exploration activities to resume when prices rebound.
Equities transaction at the Nigeria Stock Exchange recorded some profit-taking as the key index slipped 0.37%. Bolaji Akinwale has the details.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. Key indicators at the bourse shared gains as investors take profits on the first trading day in February. The all-share index slipped by 0.37% to close at 23,826.76. On the advances table, Seplat topped, closing at 203 naira 96 kobo. Zenith Bank and International Breweries followed, closing at 134 naira 69 kobo and 16 naira 80 kobo. On the decliners table, Forte Oil led, closing at 282 naira 94 kobo. It was followed by 7up with 186 naira 20 kobo and Total with 142 naira 50 kobo. The top straight chart had a mix of financial and industrial stocks. UBA pulled 96.5 million shares, coming ahead of Dangote Cement and FBN Holdings with 30.02 million shares and 23.1 million shares. In all, investors traded over 5 billion naira for 262.3 million shares in 3,887 deals. That's a wrap on the Stock Market Report. I am Bolaji Akinwale.
Thank you so much, Bolaji. The global markets were in the red as a slide in oil prices and low factory output in China sent jitters across the market. Now let's take a look at the numbers. And that's business news. The rest of the news continues in a moment.
You first. First Bank.
The Niger Delta Development Commission, the NDDC, exploring ways of attracting investment and foreign partnership to bring more development to the region. To this end, the Commission received visiting officials from Pt.3 Studio 2000, a Polish company involved in engineering, procurement and construction of power plants and utilities. Well, the meeting took place at the NDDC headquarters in Port Harcourt, the Rivers State capital.
Akwa Ibom, Rivers, Delta and Bayelsa are just some of the states that make up the NDDC, and they all have one thing in common: crude oil in commercial quantities. But underdevelopment has been the bane of some of these areas. The NDDC was set up for one thing: to serve as a medium by which the region will be developed. That's why it's a welcome occasion for the NDDC management when an investor like Pt.3 Studio 2000 from Poland comes promising to put up 60% of the cost of its new projects. Director of NDDC's Public-Private Partnership Department does not mince words about too little funding for the common projects.
We have road projects, bridges within and around the region. We've done electricity projects within and around the region. But we are covering the entire 9 states. And and we have not made the impact because we don't have all the money.
The chairman of the Embed Group, Emil Musiel, speaking through an interpreter, says the company's interests go beyond construction of power plants to the environment.
Only talking about supplying energy for consumption, we're talking of the side effect of improving the environment, the ecological factors. No emission of CO2 to the atmosphere. We're talking about good health because of the good environment.
The company is hopeful that a collaboration for procurement of infrastructure could be profitable in the palm kernel business.
If we can solve that handicap, most of the biomass of palm kernel shell are bought from Malaysia, Indonesia. From Nigeria, we can sell it even $120 per ton. From Malaysia, because of the long distance, they are selling about $250 to $300 per ton.
It's a fact-finding mission, and the Polish company feels certain that it can furnish the NDDC with more details in the future of how both organizations can turn around the energy situation and other development concerns in the Niger Delta.
Anambra State Governor Willie Obianor has given assurance of prompt mobilization of the contractor handling the 30-kilometer road with 28 culverts and 3 bridges. When completed, the road will open up all the agricultural communities in Anambra South and Central Senatorial zones, as well as link up over 10 communities, including Enugu State.
Amansi Ndukwenu Road in Orumba North Local Government Area of Anambra State. Construction work is ongoing on the 30-kilometer road between Ufuma and Amansi. Already, 28 culverts have been constructed.
Just to prevent it from being too steep, otherwise...
Governor Willie Obianor has come to see how far work has gone, and he's quite pleased.
The 2 bridges are very well advanced. The 3rd one on the spur road we haven't started yet, but as soon as we get some more mobilization, we will progress, or we'll start immediately.
It's one of the longest roads too that we're doing in the state. It will open up this agrarian area and link up many communities, including the Amansi through Enugu communities that live around here. So I'm very happy to see that work is progressing. We're going to give Stefanati more mobilization so that he can progress this work rapidly.
The team moves to another construction site. Governor Obianor also inspected the agriculture project in Igbariam. The state government signed an MOU with the private company Songhai Del Farm to cultivate 1,000 hectares of land. Already, 200 hectares have been cleared and planted with crops.
This is the first time we're going to get an outgrower scheme for white corn, which is what Sabina uses for the beer and other beverages that they make. So we're working hard to make sure that that happens. And just last week too, the first set of vegetables grown in Anambra State here from Orumba, reached Europe market, and I think this is something that is interesting.
There are assurances from the investor that in the next 6 months, the entire 1,000 hectares will have been cultivated, and at the pace at which the road are being built and rehabilitated, transportation of produce will not pose any challenge.
And still ahead on the news at 10, Manchester City confirms Pep Guardiola will succeed Manuel Pellegrini as manager this summer. That's the sports news. Do stay with us.